we present John le Carré's Call for the Dead, adapted for radio in 5 parts by René Basilico, starring George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel. Call for the Dead, Episode 1.
Morning, Mr. Smiley.
Morning, Henry. Lovely day, isn't it?
Isn't it, sir? The controller's office have been asking for you, sir.
Well, when was that?
First thing.
Oh, dear. I better get in touch with them. Thank you, Henry.
Hello, George.
Peter?
Control's been sending out search parties for you.
Well, anyone would think I was lost.
You're not trying. Share my lift?
Thanks.
Where to?
The top, I suppose. I better find out what all the commotion's about.
I've got a shrewd idea.
Anything I should know?
Does the name Fennan mean anything to you? Samuel Arthur Fennan?
I don't think so. Should it?
Just wondered.
Why?
The controller asked me to collate all the background material on him. Foreign Office Waller.
Is that his file?
Yeah. He was given a routine vetting when he was promoted about 3 months ago.
Any problems?
No, nothing contentious as far as I can see. Anyway, he was cleared to secret. Oh, this is where I get off, George. See you later.
Yes, I suppose so.
Ah, it's you, George.
I know, Josie. Marston wants words with me.
How did you guess?
It sounds like a matter of life and death.
Probably wants to know how many sugars you take in your coffee.
Oh, 2, if you're making some.
I'm sorry, George, you're too late. 10 out of 10 for trying, though.
Can I go in?
Hang on a minute, he's still on the phone.
Oh.
How's Anne?
Oh, she's fine, I think. She's gone abroad, you know. Bermuda.
How exciting for her.
Yes, she has relatives there, apparently.
Wish I had relatives in places like that. All mine seem to congregate around Surbiton dreary beggars. Ah, he's free now, George.
Thanks.
Ah, do come in, George. Good of you to come.
Well, something did seem to be afoot.
Yes, a little unpleasantness, I'm afraid.
At the Bologna Club?
No, at the Foreign Office. What on earth's the Bologna Club?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh. Anyway, there's a fellow called Fennan. Samuel Arthur Fennan. Runs an Asian desk at the Foreign Office. Senior position, just been promoted. Unusual background.
Oh?
Well, aren't you going to ask me what he's done?
Well, I was waiting for you to tell me.
Apparently he was a member of the party while he was at Oxford.
Weren't we all?
Quite conceivably, George, but none of us were so indiscreet as to have it revealed 3 months after being positively vetted by this department.
This revelation was anonymous, I take it?
It was.
I don't think I trust anonymous tip-offs. There's something wrong with the motive somehow. Patriotism, loyalty, duty. They just don't seem to go with anonymity, do they?
Do you have a better explanation?
Jealousy, perhaps? Resentment of being bypassed for promotion?
What, in the Foreign Office?
Oh, it's not unheard of. But aren't we digressing? What do you want me to do about Fennan?
I want you to talk to him, George. Look him over. See what you think.
Routine interview?
Yes, it's been authorised by the Director of Security.
Perhaps you'll be good enough to send me a copy of the minute.
Oh, yes, of course. You'll have it within the hour.
Well, I suppose I better try and arrange to see him sometime.
The sooner the better. Oh, and George.
Yes?
Get the feel of him, George. Find out what makes him tick. You do that better than anyone. And remember, the department's reputation is at stake.
I shouldn't be at all surprised.
You know, Mr. Smiley, in many ways, in very many ways, this is still the most civilized country in the world.
What makes you say that?
Otherwise, this situation would be patently absurd.
I really don't see why.
Well, here am I, Samuel Fennan, a wandering Jew of foreign extraction, and forcible foreign extraction at that, being interrogated by British security.
No, it's hardly an interrogation.
The fact that it's taking place in the middle of St. James's Park It doesn't make it any less of an interrogation.
Or any more of an absurdity, surely.
It would in any other country, believe me.
Point taken. But I must stress that it's not meant to be an interrogation. It's more of a, well...
An interview? You see, we are in a civilized country.
All right. I concede.
And you are a very civilized man, Mr. Smiley.
Even when I'm performing such a barbaric duty?
It can't be very pleasant for you, washing dirty linen like this.
Oh, better here than in your office.
And much less public. That was a kind thought. I do appreciate it, believe me.
Well, I can always feed the ducks. But I'm wondering whether you'd make a good traitor.
It comes down to that eventually, doesn't it?
It has to, I'm afraid.
This anonymous letter, what exactly did it insinuate?
It accused you of being a party member.
Of being or of having been?
Either or. It referred specifically to Oxford.
Ah. Our unknown informant is to be congratulated.
Our unknown informant, as you call him, thoughtfully omitted to suggest any reason for your action.
Reason? What reason do you have for anything you do at university?
Curiosity, perhaps?
It must be very easy to underestimate you, Mr. Smiley.
Are you saying you joined the party out of curiosity?
Intellectual curiosity, perhaps. My father was a communist, you see, in Germany. He was anti-Nazi from the start. I think he just drifted into communism because it was the best organized, the only organized resistance. I don't think he would ever have left Germany if he hadn't been Jewish. You could conceal the fact that you were communist.
A filial gesture of solidarity, then?
Something like that. But then I started to examine it more carefully. I suppose I fell in love with the theory, the intellectual purity of Marxism.
You're not the first?
No. That academic reversal of all the traditional values has always been attractive, isn't it? It's so frightening, so deliciously frightening, as though you are somehow daring the gods.
Isn't that what Icarus did?
Yes. And I also came down with a bump as soon as I left Oxford and came to grips with the realities of life.
In this civilized country of ours?
I accepted it and was accepted by it.
And that was enough?
More than enough. Anyway, I left my party membership card in Oxford. Probably still there, top of the wardrobe.
Another gesture?
Not wanted on voyage.
You feel like a cup of coffee?
What?
There's a coffee bar on the way back. It's supposed to be very good.
I feel more like a drink. But I don't think they're open here.
And you call this country civilized?
You're never going to let me forget that, are you?
Huh? What is it? Oh. Hello? Smiley?
A duty officer here, George. Sorry to dig you out of your pit, but I have the controller on the line for you.
What on earth time is it?
Just after 2. Hang on, I'm putting you through.
Oh.
You there, Smiley?
More or less. I was asleep.
That interview we talked about with Fennan. Have you seen him?
Yes.
When?
Yesterday. That is, Monday morning.
How did it go, Smiley? Tell me. Was he hostile?
Not at all.
Did you go for him in any way? In any way at all?
On the contrary, it was a very friendly interview. We strolled through the park together, chatted it over.
You what?
We strolled through the park, St. James's. It was less public than his office.
Is that all?
Well, we fed the ducks, and went and had a coffee.
Oh.
Why? What's the problem?
Well, you may have thought you were just strolling in the park. But that's not the way he saw it.
What do you mean?
He says that you cast doubts on his loyalty, that his career is ruined, that he is the victim of paid informers.
He must be out of his mind. He must know he's cleared.
He doesn't know anything, Smiley. He's dead. Smiley, did you hear me?
Yes.
Well,
How did it happen?
He shot himself at around 10:30 this evening.
Oh, God.
And he left a farewell letter for the Foreign Secretary, blaming it all on us. Blast his eyes.
What do you want me to do?
Get in here, Smiley. I want you here as soon as possible.
Oh, hell.
That'll be £1.40p, Gov.
Oh, yes. Here you are. That's all right. Keep the change.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, isn't it?
Duty officer's waiting for you, sir.
Where is he?
In the glory hall, sir, making coffee.
Thank you.
Hello there.
Peter?
Oh, it's you, George. Thank God you're here. He's been panty-bloody-moaning all night long. Marston came in about 1 o'clock in an advanced state of pregnancy. He's got to report to the minister first thing in the morning.
I almost feel sorry for him.
Don't. He'll have you gift-wrapped as a scapegoat if he gets half a chance.
Where is he now?
Gone over to Scotland Yard to see Sparrow. Trying to sort out who should handle it. Sparrow says special branch, someone else says CID. And the poor sods in the Surrey police are still wondering what hit them. It's a real pantomime, I can tell you. Oh, here we go again.
Did someone mention coffee?
Only instant, but the kettle's just boiled. Help yourself.
Thanks.
Duty officer? Yes, sir. Wollaston. In Surrey. No, it's just outside the metropolitan area, I'm afraid. Surrey. Yes, sir. Good night. That was special branch. They must have got the case.
Was that where Fennan lived? Wollaston?
Yeah, just off the Kingston bypass.
And that's where he shot himself, presumably?
Yes. His wife found him when she got back from the theatre.
When was that?
About 11:15 by all accounts. The theatre's in Weybridge.
Was she alone?
I don't know. She certainly went home alone.
And it was she who rang the police?
Yes. When they got there, they found the letter to the Foreign Secretary on the floor next to the body. And that's when the fun started.
How do you mean?
Well, I had to ring all round the home counties before they could get permission to open the damn thing. Oh, God, it's getting like something like from the Marx Brothers.
A night at the circus.
Duty officer? Yes, sir. Yeah, I can certainly give you the number, but you won't find him there. At Scotland Yard. I'm expecting him back any moment. Yes, sir, most certainly. Director of Personnel at the FO.
Champing at the bit?
Wants to tear Marston limb from limb.
I know the feeling.
He said that Marston had no right to tamper with his staff, not behind his back anyway. And he was quite adamant that Fennan was a loyal and talented officer.
So he was, Peter, if I'm any judge.
Are you serious?
I've no reason to believe otherwise.
Marston won't like that.
No, I don't suppose he will.
Feel like another coffee?
No, thanks. I haven't finished this one yet.
What was he like, this Fennan?
Until tonight, I thought I knew.
Where's the duty officer?
In the deals room.
Oh, here comes trouble.
Yes, at the double.
Ah, Smiley, you got here at last. I've seen Sparrow. It's a clear case of suicide. There'll have to be a coroner's inquest, of course, but no further action will be taken.
As long as our interest in Fennan is never made known to the press.
Yes. Yes, I can't emphasize that strongly enough.
I see.
Now, no one's blaming you, Smiley. After all, the Director of Security authorized the interview. You've got nothing to worry about.
Except Fennan.
Yes, except Fennan. There'll have to be an official inquiry, of course.
Well, how will you keep that from the press?
I shall see the Home Secretary first thing tomorrow. Oh, today now. Now, I must know all the facts, Smiley. All of them.
I have the Fennan file here, sir.
There's nothing to add except what I told you on the phone. The interview was conducted in an atmosphere of exceptional informality while walking through the park and feeding the ducks and generally marvelling at how civilized we were in danger of becoming.
So I take it that his suicide and his damned letter came as a complete surprise to you?
Certainly. Especially as I told him the department would recommend that no further action would be taken.
You what? It's often done, sir, but we don't usually record it.
Yes. Did Fennan have any idea who would want to denounce him?
No. None whatsoever.
I wonder if his wife could throw any light on that. You know, fill in the gaps for us, perhaps.
She might be able to. I don't see how it will help.
I think it might be as well if someone from the department went down and questioned her about all this.
We could do that in due course, I suppose.
Not in due course, Smiley. Now.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, sir.
Oh, yes. Well, anyway, as soon as decency permits. You get down there, and I'll phone you there before I leave to see the Home Secretary.
I suppose there's no chance he'll get knocked down by a passing pantechnicon.
Oh, no.
Feel like a snorter, George? I've got the duty officer's life support here.
No, thanks. I've got to drive down to Wollaston. Oh, now, 13, 15, that's it.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Mr. Smiley, is it?
Yes?
Mendel, Special Branch.
Oh, yes. You're handling the case. But how did you know I was...
Mr. Gillam phoned through, said you were coming down, thought you might like someone to hold your hand.
Did he now?
The party in number 15's been up and about since 7 o'clock, sir.
Ah. Mr. Mendel, I wonder if you'd mind if I talk to the lady...
Alone, sir, of course. I'll wait for you in the car, if I may.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, here, you'd better have the keys.
Sir.
Oh, and there's a copy of today's Times in the glove pocket.
Well, the Mirror's more my mark, sir. Don't worry about me. Good luck. You're going to need it.
Oh, come on. Oh, she must have heard that. Ah. Mrs. Fennan?
Yes?
My name is Smiley. George Smiley.
Oh, yes. They rang and asked if I minded. I didn't know what to say.
May I come in?
I suppose so.
Thank you.
In the drawing room, perhaps?
This one?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry to have to bother you at a time like this. This has been a terrible ordeal for you, Mrs. Fennan.
Yes, an ordeal, Mr. Smiley. But I learned many years ago how to suffer with discretion.
May I sit down?
If you want to.
Thank you.
It was you who interviewed my husband.
Yes.
About loyalty?
About loyalty, yes. Somebody, some busybody, sent us an anonymous letter accusing your husband of being a member of the Communist Party when he was a student at Oxford. Well, since your husband's promotion gave him access to secret files, we had no option but to follow it up. I was given the job.
It's all such a silly game, isn't it?
It must seem that way.
A silly balancing trick. Make-believe motives and human ideals just to make sense of your pathetic little dossiers.
I was only trying to do my duty.
It's an old disease, Mr. Smiley. I've seen many victims of it. The mind becomes separated from the body. It thinks without reality, rules a paper kingdom, punishes paper victims. Your sort have no place among real people. You dropped your bomb. You've no right to come down here and look at the blood.
It wasn't like that, Mrs. Fennan. There was no bomb.
For you, perhaps. But for him it was a bomb. A bombshell, believe me. It tore the heart out of him. I have never seen a man so broken since...
Auschwitz?
Yeah, since Auschwitz.
You must be exhausted. You can't have slept all night. Why don't you go back to bed?
What difference would it make? Sleep is a blessing I've never been allowed. My poor body and I only escape each other 2 or 3 hours a day. The phone, if you'll excuse me.
No, I'll go. It'll probably be for me anyway. My office said they'd phone me here.
Well, it's in the hall, just to the right.
Yes, I saw it as I came in. Hello?
Wollaston 2944?
Yes?
Good morning. Your 8:30 alarm call, sir.
Alarm call?
You are Wollaston 2944?
Yes.
Well, I've got you booked for an 8:30 alarm call, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. That's odd. Very odd indeed.
Well, did you tell her?
Yes.
So what did she say?
Thank you.
That's all, just thank you.
That's absolutely all.
Well, maybe the alarm call was for her.
Well, hardly, Mendel. She's an insomniac. She only just finished telling me she got 2 or 3 hours sleep a day.
You know, if she's a real insomniac, it's quite likely she doesn't get to sleep until dawn.
Is there any way we can check?
Well, check what?
Check who asked for the alarm call. And when.
It's possible.
Couldn't we stop off at the local police station?
I'd rather not. The Surrey police have been officially warned off this case. I wouldn't want to presume on their hospitality.
Quite the diplomat, aren't you?
Besides, Wollaston Telephone Exchange only 5 minutes down the road. We could try them if you like.
Want to have a few discreet words with the supervisor?
Assistant supervisor, for preference. They're the ones who usually do the work.
Very well. The assistant supervisor it shall be.
You'd best keep left at the next fork, then.
Yes, here we are, Inspector. Wollaston 2944. Subscriber Samuel Arthur Fennan, 15 Merrydale Lane.
That's the one.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt that he asked for an alarm call for 8:30 a.m.
He? A man?
That's what the girl said.
Well, how sure is she?
Fairly positive. She recently took a long-distance call that was subject to some technical delays. She got to recognise his voice. Cultured, she says, with a very attractive accent. At least, she seemed to find it attractive.
Sounds a bright girl.
Yes, wish we had a few more like her.
Tends to romanticise a bit, though.
No more than anyone else. There's not much time for that sort of thing on this exchange. We're severely understaffed as it is.
Is there any means of checking what time Mr. Fennan actually asked for his alarm call? Do you keep any record of that sort of thing?
The time should be logged automatically. Hang on a minute, I'll just check the docket.
Thank you.
Yes, here we are. 19:55 hours. 5 to 8. Does that help?
I'm not sure, but thank you anyway.
You've been a great help, son. But do me one more favour.
What's that, Inspector?
Mum's the word. I don't want anyone to know we're sniffing around.
Of course.
Tom.
You know, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, not if he was going to do away with himself, it doesn't. Where are we going? Back to the smoke?
I suppose so.
Aren't you going to phone your governor?
No.
Only Mr. Gillam asked me to remind you.
Good old Peter. Always covering my back.
He seemed anxious about it.
He's a good friend. I don't think I want to speak to Marston, though. Not until I've got this business sorted out in my own mind.
I'd go along with that.
Look, would you mind awfully if we went back to Wollaston?
And ask her about the call?
Yes.
I think that's exactly what you should do.
Thank you. Will you want to come in with me?
No, thanks.
False modesty.
No, it's just that our lot prefer to remain anonymous. If you know what I mean.
No. Mrs. Fennan.
Oh, it's you again.
Yes, I'm sorry to trouble you, but there is just one more question I'd like to ask you, if I may.
About the call, I suppose. The alarm call.
Yes, about that.
I thought that might puzzle you. An insomniac asking for an early morning call.
Well, it does seem rather strange.
Yes. I'm afraid the explanation is going to sound rather silly to you. When I was a child, I had to learn how to forget, how to stop things living in the mind, the memory.
Yes.
It's something I've never seemed to grow out of. I still forget such simple, everyday things. Well, occasionally I ring the exchange when there's something I have to remember and ask them to call me just as a sort of a reminder.
You're almost like tying a knot in your handkerchief.
Yes, only a knot doesn't ring a bell at you.
No. Thank you for the explanation, Mrs. Fennan. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Smiley.
The funny thing is, Peter, that I had this feeling that she was actually expecting me to come back about the damned alarm call.
But she still maintained it was for her.
Yes.
An alarm call for an insomniac? Who's she trying to kid?
Yes, that's my feeling. Where was Fennan's body found, Peter?
Bottom of the stairs.
Bottom of the stairs?
Uh-huh. And the typewriter was upstairs in his study, remember?
Ah. And the suicide note?
Right beside him. The revolver was underneath the body, and there was a half-finished mug of cocoa in the drawing room.
We must assume it was Fennan who asked for the call.
Just before 8 o'clock.
Right. So between that time and... when was it?
10:30. The time was on the suicide note.
So in that 2.5 hours, Fennan makes himself some cocoa and sits drinking in the drawing room until he suddenly decides that it's all too much. He goes upstairs and types a suicide note, comes down to the bottom of the stairs to shoot himself.
Hangs together nicely, doesn't it?
Come in.
George, there's a letter for you. Arrived yesterday. It's marked personal and confidential.
Well, thanks, Josie.
You're welcome.
Personal and confidential? Well, who on earth? Good Lord.
What's the matter?
Listen to this. Dear Smiley, it is essential that I lunch with you. Could you meet me on Wednesday at the Complete Angler at Marlow?
That's today.
May I suggest we meet at 1 o'clock? There is something I have to tell you.
Who's it from?
It's signed Samuel Fennan.
So it wasn't suicide?
No. It has to be murder, I'm afraid.
That was part 1 of Call for the Dead, the novel by John le Carré, adapted for radio by René Basilico. It starred George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel, with Douglas Blackwell as Peter Gillam and Richard Handel as Marston. The part of Samuel Fennan was played by Anthony Newlands, Elsa Fennan by Hilda Kreisman, Josie by Jane Williams, and the assistant supervisor by Kenneth Shanley. Produced by John Fawcett Wilson. We present John le Carré's Call for the Dead, adapted for radio in 5 parts by René Basilico, starring George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel. Call for the Dead, Episode 2.
Good morning, George.
Josie?
The controller is somewhat anxious to see you.
I can imagine.
I'll let him know you're here.
Thank you.
Mr. Smiley's here to see you, Mr. Marston.
About damn time, too. Send him in.
Very good, sir.
I got the message, Josie. Very loud and abundantly clear.
Tread carefully, George. He's a trifle fraught this morning.
So I gather.
Ah, Smiley. I've been trying to get in touch with you all morning. Didn't you get my message?
I did, yes.
Well, then.
I had nothing to tell you. At least, nothing more than you know already.
I see.
Well, except perhaps...
Yes?
Except that I don't believe Fennan committed suicide.
Go on.
Well, his career was blooming. He'd just been promoted. He was obviously on his way to the top.
He'd just been accused of being a communist.
Many years ago. He wasn't the sort of man to let an anonymous accusation worry him, much less drive him to suicide.
The police seem to accept it was suicide.
I'm convinced it was murder.
You realize what you're saying, Smiley?
I think so.
Your reasons. They'd better be good.
Well, to start with, Fennan is supposed to have written his suicide letter at 10:30 p.m.
So?
Earlier that evening, he'd asked the local telephone exchange for an alarm call at 8:30 in the morning. This morning.
How do you know that?
I took the call. I thought it might have been from you.
Yes, but how do you know it was Fennan who ordered the call?
We checked with the exchange. The operator recognised his voice.
Just like that?
His voice was quite distinctive. He had a slight accent. The operator remembered it from a somewhat troublesome long-distance call that Fennan made a few days before.
Yes, but how does all this bring you to the conclusion that he was murdered?
His wife lied about the call. She claimed she ordered it herself.
Is that all?
No. Fennan made himself a cup of cocoa, but he only drank half of it before going upstairs to type a suicide note, and then coming downstairs again to shoot himself. Somewhat improbable, wouldn't you say?
We seem to be at cross purposes, Smiley. I sent you down there to discover why Fennan shot himself, not if. That is a problem we may safely leave to the police.
I see.
I'm delighted to hear it. Now, did you discover anything that affects our position here? Anything that might explain Fennan's actions or substantiate his suicide note?
Yes. I understood from Mrs. Fennan that her husband was very upset after the interview.
Ah.
Her account of Fennan's reaction to my interview entirely substantiates the suicide note. Is that what you wanted?
It's what I expected, more's the pity. Still, nothing we can do about it.
Well, I don't suppose you'd be interested to know that I discovered why Fennan ordered the alarm call in the first place.
My interest is purely academic, but do go on.
Well, if Fennan intended being at his desk by 10 o'clock, which is apparently normal at the Foreign Office, then the call would have been for 7:30, 8 at the latest.
Perhaps he wasn't going to the Foreign Office.
No, he wasn't. He was going to Marlow.
What was he going to do there?
He was going to have lunch at the Complete Angler.
Oh.
And I was to be his guest.
What?
The invitation arrived this morning. See for yourself. It was posted in Whitehall at 6 o'clock on Monday evening.
Good Lord.
It seems the condemned man was intent on eating a hearty meal with his inquisitor. Good day to you, Controller.
What the hell does Marston think he's playing at?
Politics, Peter. What else?
But he must see that it can't possibly be an open and shut case of suicide.
Oh, he sees it all right. But he's frightened to become involved in an issue that could have an undesirable outcome. As long as it's suicide, Marston can keep his nose clean.
By letting you carry the can? Charming.
No, it's easy enough for him to make out a case. Even if it is murder, it's none of our business. We're not the police.
I sometimes wonder what we are, George.
Yes, it does rather defy description, doesn't it? Do you still have the Fennan file?
Yes, right here in the drawer.
May I see it?
Sure. There you are.
Thanks.
As long as you don't take it away.
No, I won't. Promise.
George, if Fennan was murdered...
Yes?
Well, there is one obvious suspect, isn't there?
Did you know that Elsa Fennan spent 2 years in Auschwitz?
Yes, I read that bit. She was only a kid, too.
Yet she survived.
Yeah.
I just can't bring myself to believe that a person like that would murder her own husband. There's no aggression in her, Peter, none at all. Her whole instinct is to defend, to preserve.
Why would she lie to you?
Who knows? Another inquisitor? One more oppressor? Or maybe she just panicked and said the first thing that came into her head.
It's a pretty big maybe, George.
It still doesn't necessarily mean that she murdered her husband.
No, but there's no way she can't be involved.
No, I suppose not. Peter, has anyone carried out a scientific comparison between these two letters? The accusation and the suicide note?
Not to my knowledge. Why?
Typefaces are very similar.
Ah, that's only a photocopy of the suicide note. You can't really judge.
Who has the original?
Special branch, I should think. Your pal Mendel will know.
Oh, yes. Do you mind if I take this, Peter? The anonymous accusation?
As long as you sign for it. That's the original you got there.
Yes, I know.
You're going to compare them?
I thought I might ask Mendel to seek expert opinion.
What do you hope to prove?
We'll see.
And, Marston?
He'll believe what he wants to believe. Which reminds me, would you like to do me a favour, Peter?
If I can.
Give me a couple of hours. Then drop this letter into Marston's in tray.
What is it?
My resignation.
What? Well, George, you can't.
I have to. He's left me no alternative. Thanks, Peter. And goodbye.
For the moment?
Yes, for the moment.
Watch out, Marston. Your appointed scapegoat is about to butt you straight up the backside. And serves you damn well right.
It's all right, then. I should have a report on those 2 letters by the morning.
I'm most grateful to you, Mendel.
What about the letter you got this morning, the invitation to lunch?
No, nothing like the others. It was probably done in his office.
Funny thing.
What?
Well, that boffin back there reckoned it was the first time he'd ever seen a suicide note that had been typewritten.
Yes. Yes, I can see that might well be unusual.
I'll tell you something else for what it's worth.
What's that?
Well, most suicides I've ever heard of don't even bother to date their goodbyes, or this one even put the bleeding time on. You'd think he was setting up an alibi for someone.
Who did you have in mind?
Wife. Well, at least that's where my money would be.
I wonder.
Now, where are we going now, then?
Well, I was about to suggest a little lunch somewhere. There are 1 or 2 things I want to talk to you about.
Oh, suits me. Quite fancy a nice bit of steak.
Would you mind if we stop by at the laundry first?
Feel free.
Only I'm fast running out of clean shirts.
There you are, sir. I'll charge it to the account, shall I?
Please.
Mrs. Smiley still away?
Yes, she is.
She likely to be away much longer?
Yes, quite a bit longer.
Would it help if we collected and delivered your laundry until she gets back?
No, not really. I'd always be missing the collection. I'm afraid I'm not a very organised person.
I just thought it might be less trouble.
No. Thank you all the same. Good day to you.
Good day to you, Mr. Smiley.
Don't know why you bother with laundries. Everything I've got's drip dry. Or had to be since the wife died.
When was that?
Oh, nearly 4 years now. Surprising how domesticated you become.
Oh, I don't know. I just seem completely incapable of coping.
Well, you don't have to, do you? You've got a wife.
More or less.
Oh. Sorry. Mouthy Mendel again.
Not to worry. At least we have something in common. You know, men without women.
Yeah.
That's my house. Number 25.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I'll just drop these things in.
I'll hang on here, then.
I'll phone for a table while I'm about it. Can you pass those shirts?
Oh, sure. Here.
Thank you.
Just a minute.
What's the matter?
Your wife's not at home, is she?
No.
Anyone else?
Nobody. Why?
There's someone watching.
Where?
But don't look round.
You must be mistaken.
No mistake. I saw the curtains twitch.
There's no one at home, I promise you.
There is now, Mr. Smiley, believe me. You stay put.
What are you going to do?
Ask whoever it is to come out with his hands up. That's what the fuzz are for.
Oh.
Hang about, Mr. S.
Be careful.
Come on, my peeping beauty. I know you're there. There's a good chap. Good morning, sir. Mr. Smiley, is it?
What you want?
Police, sir. Inspector Mendel. I wonder if I could... Blast! Mr. Smiley! Keys, sir! Quick!
Who was it?
That's what I want to know.
Oh, damn. Sorry.
The back window. Come on.
There he is, at the gate.
Get down!
What was that?
Pistol with a silencer on it. Stay down.
For God's sake, be careful, Mendel.
Right, you're right. Now, come on.
No.
We can't just let him get away.
There's no way we can stop him.
But who says so?
Have you got a gun?
No, but I can get
He has.
Oh, come on. We're wasting time.
No, Mendel. There's no point.
The point is to catch him, isn't it?
Yes, but not to get killed in the process.
Oh, well. Too late now, anyway. We'll be halfway to Manchester.
Well, there has to be something else we can do.
Yeah, we can circulate his description, I suppose.
Well, is that all?
Well, it's second best. Yeah, but we could collect a few car numbers.
What good would that do?
Well, in broad daylight, the odds are that he came in through the front door, less suspicious. And a Yale lock's no problem for a pro.
And do you think he may have parked his car right outside?
Why not? On a meter. It's what I'd have done.
Well, let's see what's out there. Then let's go and have lunch, shall we?
Good idea. All that excitement has given me quite an appetite.
Hold on 1 minute, sir. What was that last one?
SKM123M. Green Mini. And PMT 98L for Lima. Beige Avenger. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a lot. 18 altogether. I don't want to run down on every one of them by 4:30.
You don't want much, do you, sir?
Just a little digital extraction, son. With the computer, that is.
What happens if it's on the blink?
Well, then someone's going to get sore feet, aren't they?
Ah, I was beginning to wonder what had happened to you.
Sorry. I will have a complete rundown before the end of the day, or I'll know the reason why.
What about the list the traffic warden gave us?
Oh, there's two. But I bet it'll be one of those cars right outside your door.
What about his description?
Well, I gave him that too, for what it's worth.
Did you get a good look at him?
Oh, good enough. About 6 foot, 200 pounds, blonde, very blonde, about 35 or 6. And quite good looking, with it.
Well, you recognise him again, then?
Uh-huh. You don't forget eyes like that.
Like what?
Blue. Gestapo blue.
Are you saying he was German?
Well, he gave me that feeling.
Well, not Swedish or Danish or one of the other Nordic races?
Nope. German. When my old man was 4-2-ish, he had what he called an instinctive antipathy to Germans. Perhaps I inherited it, or something. But that bloke's German, sure as God made little apples.
2 fillet steaks. Whose is the medium?
Oh, mine, lovely.
There you are, sir.
Lovely.
And the rare's for you, sir.
Thank you. I think we're ready for another drink, if you wouldn't mind.
Right you are. Same again, sir?
Please, love. Guinness.
And another glass of Beaujolais.
Guinness and Beaujolais. I won't keep you long.
The point is, what was a German doing in your house?
I don't know.
And why would he have a gun?
You think he was going to kill me, don't you?
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yes, it would add a new dimension.
You can say that again. Dame Patty's really going to get her knickers in a twist.
Who?
Oh, your controller, sir, Mr. Marston. Always call him Dame Patty in Special Branch. Sorry, sir.
Oh, don't be. That is beautiful. I only wish I'd found an opportunity of calling him that before I resigned.
Before you what?
Yeah, I was going to tell you. I handed in my resignation this morning.
What did I do that for?
I'm not sure, but I know I was right.
You are out in the cold, aren't you?
I suppose I am.
Especially now someone's gunning for you. It's true, it's not even safe for you to go home.
Well, so it would appear.
But there's a spare bedroom at my place. Why don't you use that for a while? You can hole up there while I do some legwork.
What sort of legwork?
A copper's basic routine, finding out what's true and what isn't, sniffing about generally. It's about time someone did it on this case.
Yes, but why you?
I'm a trained bloodhound, aren't I?
Gillam.
It's George. Can you talk?
Sure. Where are you? At home?
No. I'm staying with Mendel. For the moment, at any rate.
Staying with... What on earth for?
Well, Mendel thought it would be safer.
Safer?
We think someone's trying to kill me, Peter.
Oh, that's all we need. Have you any idea who?
No. But Mendel got a good look at him. He thinks... Well, no, he feels he's a German.
So you want me to raid the German section?
Well, just the portrait gallery to start with. And Peter?
Yes?
I'd rather Marston wasn't told. Not yet.
Well, that goes without saying.
Oh, Peter.
Yes?
Did you give Marston that letter?
Yes, of course.
What did he say?
Nothing.
Oh.
Are you all right, George?
Yeah, fine. Really. Mendel just wants me to keep my head down for a while.
As long as someone's watching your back. Where is he now?
Mendel? Well, he's gone to draw some sort of firearms.
Oh, he has got the wind up.
Yeah, so have I, Peter. Hold on a minute.
What is it?
I'm back, Mr. Rice.
Oh. Peter?
Everything okay, George?
Yes.
Well, I've been over to the... Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it won't be a minute. Do your best with the photos, Peter.
Count on it. Where do I contact you?
Here. I'm on 622-1408.
1408.
Thanks, Peter.
Be seeing you.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's your phone. I was just putting Peter Gillam in the picture.
Good idea.
Did you get what you wanted?
Yep. Webley 38. Terrific weapon if you know how to use it. I don't, by the way. I'd have to stick it in your ear to get a flesh wound.
Why bother, then?
It steadies my nerves. I get neurotic if someone shoots at me and I can't shoot back. Are you fit?
What for?
One of those cars outside your door. A blue Triumph.
Well, what about it?
It's registered to a right villain over in Battersea. Name is Scar. Adam Scar.
Can you tell me something about this chap we're going to see?
Yeah, Adam Scar's been known to us for years. Got quite a bit of form. Small time, mostly. Runs a sort of garage down by the river. I don't even call it a garage. More of a scrapyard, really.
Odd combination. Scrap metal and second-hand cars.
Well, it's hard to tell the difference where he's concerned, but he can get rid of a hot one smarter than most.
Hot what?
Well, car. He deals in hot cars. Stolen cars.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you're not a bit like a real copper, are you?
Well, I don't think I ever pretended to be.
Another world. This is it. Scar's garage.
Well, it looks as though it's closed for the night.
It is, but the booze are over, the road's open. That's where Scar will be. You stay here. I shouldn't think this is your scene.
No, I shouldn't think it is.
Want me to send out a pint and some potato crisps?
I'll try to survive without.
Wise man, a beer's absolute catch. Won't be long.
Same again, Jakey.
Pint at best and a gin and orange for the lady, would it?
That's right. Oh, sorry, mate.
You Adam Scar?
Who wants to know?
My card.
Oh. Thought there was a funny smell in here.
Blue Triumph, JKN 405N. Yours?
She was, Squire.
And what about now? Like today?
Been half-inched, didn't it?
Has it now?
Straight up, Squire.
When would this be, then?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago now. 2 weeks last Tuesday, yesterday, in fact.
And you reported it to the police when?
Well, to tell the truth, Squire...
Yeah, I couldn't tell the truth from a hole in the wall, Scar. Why didn't you report it?
Well, you know the way it is, Squire.
Yeah. In other words, it's one you knocked off in the first place.
Nah, honest, Squire, it's clean besides.
Besides what?
It could still turn up.
So good Santa Claus.
Pint and a gin and orange. 70 pence to you, Adam.
Here, take it out of that.
Oh, thank you very much. Is there something else?
Oh, I'm driving. I don't want the fuzz jumping all over me. Do I, Scar?
No, that wouldn't do at all, Squire.
30p change.
Ta.
Next, please.
Now, you listen to me, Scar. I'm not interested in your petty pilfering or whatever it is you're up to. I've got bigger fish to fry. One in particular. Seen driving this car of yours today. Now, who is he?
I don't know, Squire. Honest to God, I don't know.
Work on it.
Look, this geezer came and I had the car for a day. I haven't seen him since.
Since when?
Fortnight ago, already told you.
Yes, but you haven't told me his name, Scar.
I don't know his name, honest.
He must have put a name on the hire contract and the insurance and all those other forms that are required by law before you hire a car out.
Andrews. That was a name. Andrews. It won't do you much good.
Why not?
Well, he gave me an address in Ealing, didn't he?
So?
So I went there. It don't exist. So I got a fiver here that says Andrews is a bleeding phony and all.
All right, Scar, but I got 5 that says you must have got a good look at this bloke.
Yeah. Tall. Well dressed, wasn't he? Bit of class about him. Carries one of those big knobbly walking sticks.
Not all.
Well, got a bit of an accent and all. Think he might have been a Scotchman.
OK, Scar. You can get back to your boozing now, but if that's a load of cock you sold me, I'll break your bleeding neck. Be seeing you, Scar.
And the best of help to you too, an old squire.
Keeping funny company these days, Adam.
Do us a favour and belt up, will ya?
Come on, Mendel. What are you up to? Hello? J.K. That's familiar. JKN 405N. Now, where's that bit of paper?
Are you looking for something?
No, I was just...
Hey, you! Stay where you are! I'll shoot! Don't move!
Mr. Smiley? Mr. Smiley, you all right? Oh, no. A bastard. Dirty bastard.
That was part 2 of Call for the Dead, the novel by John le Carré, adapted for radio by René Basilico. It starred George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel, with Douglas Blackwell as Peter Gillam and Richard Handel as Marston. Adam Scar was played by George Innes and Josie by Jane Williams. Other parts were played by members of the cast. Produced by John Fawcett Wilson. We present John le Carré's Call for the Dead, adapted for radio in 5 parts by René Basilico, starring George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel. Call for the Dead, Episode 3.
Over here.
Righto, Gov. Oh, what happened?
Oh, see for yourself.
Don't me look like someone tried to bash his brains out, doesn't it?
Yeah, damn near succeeded, too.
Hadn't someone better call the police?
They're already here, son.
Eh? Where?
Right here. Mendel, special branch.
Oh.
But look after him. He's a friend of mine. Name is Smiley, George Smiley.
Oh, don't worry, Gov. We'll have him back at St. Jude's inside 5 minutes. Promise.
Good boy.
Do you want to ride inside with him?
No, thanks. I'll stick to the things I'm good at.
Now, please yourself. Right, Alf. Gently now.
Come on.
(9623) Gillam.
Mendel here. Sorry to trouble you.
Oh, that's all right. What's the problem?
It's Mr. Smiley. They've had another go at him.
Is he all right?
Not very.
Oh, God. How bad is it?
Bad enough. Concussion, severe contusions about the head, maybe a fractured skull.
Where is he now?
On his way to the hospital in an ambulance.
Was it the same chap as before?
That's got to be. Same build, same blonde hair. Yes, it was him, all right.
Poor old George.
Yeah. Lucky I was around.
They're not mucking about, are they, Mendel?
Oh, you can say that again.
Twice in one day.
Third time, you could get lucky.
I know. That's what's worrying me.
Look, you only good at pulling strings.
Depends.
Can you get Mr. Smiley into a private room? I'd like my mob to put a 24-hour watch on him.
No problem. Which hospital?
St. Jude's, Battersea.
Right. Anything else?
Yeah. You can try and keep the local police out of it.
I'll do my best.
Thanks.
What are you going to do?
I'm just going to tear the ears off a lying little sod called Adam Scarr.
That bloke you were talking to, Adam, Copper, wasn't he?
Yeah. How did you guess?
Never leave you alone, do they?
Send you down once, they think they bleeding own you.
Leaning on you, was he?
Trying to.
Yeah.
I wasn't having any. Soon told him where to get off.
I don't think he was listening, Adam, me old China.
What do you mean?
He's just walked in the door, didn't he?
Oh, well.
Scar!
Oh, my God.
I'm going to work with you, Scar. In private.
I'm coming, Squire. Keep your wig on. Here, Harry.
Yeah?
Hold me beer for me, will you?
Sure. Watch yourself, Adam. He looks vicious.
Don't they all?
Do you want me to come over there and get you?
Come in, Squire.
Oh, don't hurry yourself.
I thought patience was meant to be a virtue, even for coppers.
Is that what they teach you in the Nick these days?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they got it wrong, Scar.
Lay off it, will you?
Outside.
Oh, what you're doing?
Come on.
Yeah, stop it. Oh, you're breaking my bleeding arm.
I'll break your bleeding neck if I don't get some sense out of you. Come here.
Go easy, Squire. What's it all about?
A tall Scotchman with a knobbly walking stick.
What Scotchman? I don't know no bleeding Scotchman, so help me.
I know you don't, Scar, and I ought to tear your lying tongue up for telling me you did.
Oh, lay off, will ya?
You recognise it, Scar?
Recognise what?
The car, mate.
Car?
That car.
Oh, my head.
Recognise it now?
Yeah.
JKN 405N.
Yeah, I can read. Let go of my arm.
Come back, hasn't she? Unexpected, all by herself.
Yeah, well, I said she might turn up, didn't I?
You didn't say there'd be a farewell letter and a 50-quid bonus.
Where?
There! On the front seat, in an envelope. 10 blue ones.
Nice.
Blood money, Scar.
Leave off. For God's sake, I'll get the message.
So do I, Scar. It's written all over the envelope, isn't it? And do you want to know what it says?
Yeah, surprise me. Nah.
It says, finished, sell it.
Yeah?
Who's finished, Scar? I want his name.
I don't know his name, honestly. Oh!
His name, Scar. I don't want none of that cobblers about Scotchman with knobbly sticks. I want it straight, understand?
Yeah.
Because if I don't get it straight, I'm going to stick you with attempted murder, conspiracy to murder...
Murder?
Not to mention the Official Secrets Act.
Who said anything about murder?
I did, Scar, and I bloody well mean it. Your little pal tried to kill a friend of mine less than 10 minutes ago.
What are you talking about?
Right here, where we're standing. Or maybe he thought it was you. Yeah, I'd like that. Be no more than you deserve. But either way, you're in trouble, Scar, because if he doesn't get you, I will, and that, mate, is a promise.
Did you say something about official secrets just now?
Yes. Why?
No. He was some sort of foreigner, that's all.
Not Scotch?
No. Dutch. Well, at least that's what he said.
But he never said his name?
No. As long as he's throwing fivers around like a load of old tote tickets, I wasn't going to ask, was I?
How long have you known him?
4 years, near enough. He come and asked me to buy a car for him.
Right, whose name?
In my name, of course. He paid for garaging and a bit extra every time he used it.
Well, how often was that?
Twice a month. Tuesdays. First and third Tuesday of each month. Regular as clockwork. The car was always back Wednesday or Thursday.
And this happened every month?
Well, not in the winter.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, not January, nor February, come to think of it.
What, never?
No, not since I've known him.
But what did he look like, this Dutchman?
Well, he looked, Dutch. Tall, blonde, youngish. Cool as charity he was.
Can you remember his eyes?
Not half. Blue they were. And cold. Like ice.
Suppose you had to get in touch with him. In an emergency or something.
Well, he, gave me this number, didn't he? Said I could leave a message.
What number would that be?
Oh, leave it alone, Squire.
Get on the number, Scar!
Well, look, it was... no, look, it's gone.
What's the number?
7228880.
It'll better be right this time.
Well, it's the number he gave me, I swear to God.
Did you ever use it?
Nah, I never had cause to.
If you'd had have used it, who would you have asked for it if you didn't know his name?
That's what I said, innit? My very words.
And?
Well, he told me to choose a name for
What are you
him.
talking about? Choose a name.
He said I could call him anything I liked.
So what name did you like?
Blondie. What else? It was the first thing that came into my head.
How is he, Doctor?
Well, he looks a bit of a mess, I must say, but it's mostly superficial.
Well, that's something to be thankful for.
I'll never understand why his skull wasn't fractured.
He's a civil servant.
What's that got to do with it?
A solid bone up top.
Oh, I see.
Or don't you subscribe to that theory?
Only when it refers to the hospital board. His room's down there, last door on the right.
Thanks.
Don't stay too long, assuming Cerberus lets you in at all, of course.
Cerberus?
The plainclothes man at the door. That's what we call him.
Didn't Cerberus have 3 heads?
No, that's matron. Bye.
George?
Hmm? Oh. Come in, Peter. I was wondering when you'd be round.
Yeah. How are you?
Bit shop-soiled, but otherwise intact.
Good. Marston sends you his...
Condolences, no doubt.
Not quite. Best wishes is what he said.
For what, I wonder?
For a safe return, I suppose. I suspect he thinks that Battersea is on the coast somewhere.
Don't disillusion him, Peter. There's a good fellow.
I won't. By the way, I don't think he's done anything about your resignation. Hasn't mentioned it to anyone, as far as I know.
He won't. Not until he sees which way this case is going.
It's getting a bit hairy, isn't it, George?
But it's beginning to make sense, of sorts.
I'd like to know how.
I've been doing a bit of thinking since I've been in here.
And?
Well, it seems reasonable to assume that someone was, or is, trying to kill me.
No question.
And that the attempt, or at least the motive behind the attempt, is somehow connected with Samuel Fennan.
That's not proven, is it?
No, but it seems likely.
Yes, I'd go with that, as a working hypothesis.
And yet I only ever met Fennan once in my life, when I interviewed him.
So, if there is a link, it's got to be something to do with that interview.
I think so.
But what, George? What possible link can there be?
Well, I've been giving that a great deal of thought, too. Supposing someone saw us, Peter.
What, in the Foreign Office?
There, or in the park.
Well, no one would take a blind bit of notice. Not unless they knew who you were.
Not who we were, Peter. What we were.
I don't follow.
That I was a security officer, and Fennan was a traitor.
But I thought you said Fennan wasn't a traitor.
I said I thought he wasn't. Anyway, I didn't say that until after the interview.
That's true. It doesn't make sense, George. Whoever wrote that anonymous letter exposing Fennan surely wanted him to be investigated. That was the whole point, wasn't it?
One would have thought so.
Unless they suddenly changed their mind.
Yeah, that could be nearer the mark than you think.
Oh, come on, George, I was joking.
No, seriously, Peter. Supposing Fennan was killed to prevent him talking to me again.
Then they try and kill you, in case he'd already said too much.
As I said, Peter, I think it makes sense. Of sorts.
The big question is still, who?
Oh, hello, Mendel.
We were just wondering who would want to go around banging poor George on the head.
How about Blondie?
Who?
Blondie. That's the name he used. Ring a bell anyway?
No, can't say it does.
Don't you know his real name?
No. But whatever it is, you can leave messages for him at 722-8880.
Let me get that number down.
Oh, don't bother. I've already checked it out. It's the East German Steel Mission.
Well, that sounds a bit ominous.
What do we know about them?
Well, off the top of my head, nothing much. But there's bound to be something on the files.
Could we get a sight of them, do you think?
And as soon as possible.
I'm on my way.
Oh, and, Peter?
Yeah?
Did you have any luck with those photos from the German section?
They should be through by the end of this morning.
Well done.
Look after yourself. Bye, Mendel.
Cheers. I told you, didn't I?
What?
That Blondie was a German.
Yes.
How long are they going to keep you in here?
Oh, I'll be out tomorrow, most probably.
Why the hurry? You'd be wiser to rest up a bit.
I wish I could afford the time.
Well, I don't think you can afford not to.
What's that supposed to mean?
To be honest, I'd be a lot happier if you kept out of the firing line, at least for a day or two.
You think they'll try again?
Well, I don't know.
What will you do?
Coppers rounds. Well, it's about time somebody did. There's been no proper police work on this case yet.
Oh.
Well, nothing's been checked. There's no algebra, is there?
What's algebra got to do with it?
Well, you've got to start by proving what can be proved. You've got to find the constants. What happened the night of Fennan's death, for instance?
We know that, surely.
Well, do we? I reckon we only know what Mrs. Fennan said happened.
Well, it's easy enough to check.
Oh, it's easy enough to check whether she went to the theatre or not. I'm sure she did, as a matter of fact. But I'd like to know if she really went alone. And if she came back alone, what time she arrived and what time she left, how long she took to get home.
All right. I take your point.
Well, in this business, you have to keep picking until you find a loose thread.
And then what?
Then you pull it hard and see what unravels.
An apt choice of metaphor.
Yeah.
And where will you start picking? At the theatre?
That's favourite, isn't it? Excuse me, love.
Theatre's closed, dearie.
Oh.
Yeah, they're rehearsing.
Who's in charge around here, then?
Mrs. Oriel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Ludo Oriel.
Ludo?
Yeah, Ludo. You know, like Tiddlywinks.
Where will I find her, love?
On the stage, dearie. She's rehearsing, isn't she?
Thanks very much.
You're welcome, dearie.
How ill this taper burns. Ah! Who goes there?
Who comes there?
Who comes there? I think it is the weakness of mine eyes that shapes this monstrous apparition. It comes upon me.
No!
What?
It comes upon me. It being the ghost, dear heart. Not a twinge of ruddy rheumatism.
Sorry, Ludo.
Take it from the top.
From the top?
If you please.
How ill this taper burns. Ah, who comes there?
Well, go on, dear.
Well, who does come there? There's a stranger in the cab.
Oh, what now?
The name's Mendel, actually.
Well, we are rather busy just at the moment, dear.
Well, I was looking for Mrs. Oriel.
I am she.
I was hoping to join the theatre club.
Oh, how nice. Well, now, perhaps we'd better go down to the office and sign you in, hadn't we?
Oh,
Come along, dear, this way.
Thank you.
Oh, take a break there, Gavin, and see if you can't get it right next time.
Right.
Such a difficult part, you know.
Yeah, it must be.
Oh, it really has been quite gratifying to see the interest in the theatre that we're generating in this area.
Was that the new play you were rehearsing?
Yes, Julius Caesar, for the local schools, really. It's one of the set books in this year's English paper.
Ah.
In here, if you would.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse the mess. It used to be the green room in more halcyon days.
What's the green room?
Oh, the traditional name for the actors' rest room, you know.
Oh, yes.
Now, where were we?
About the theatre club. You see, I'm not very well up in this
Well,
kind of...
it's more or less a fortnightly rep.
Oh, yeah.
New show on the first and third Monday of every month. As a club member, you can have a standing reservation for seats on a particular night of each run.
How do you mean?
The first Wednesday of each production, or the second Friday, that sort of thing.
Oh, I see.
Seats are held until 10 minutes before the curtain goes up.
What time's that?
7:30 is the general rule.
And do you keep any records of club members? I mean, what seats they bought, all those sort of details?
Oh, of course we do. We've got them all. Suddenly I have this feeling that you haven't come about joining the club.
Oh, well, you're right, Mrs. Oriel. I haven't.
Look, for God's sake, why can't you people stop pestering me? I've told you again and again that I'll pay you as soon as I've got the money. Now leave me alone or you'll end up getting nothing. Do you understand?
I understand only too well, Mrs.
Good.
Oriel.
In that case, get out before I have you thrown out.
Only I'm not a creditor.
What? What are you then? You're obviously not interested in the theatre.
No, I'm a divorce agent.
Oh, so that's your game.
Well, I was really hoping to ask you a few questions. I'm prepared to pay a little for the answers.
Why in God's name did you say so in the first place?
Well, I didn't want to embarrass you.
In this business? You must be joking.
Would tenor buy me a look at your subscription list?
With indecent haste. Who are you interested in?
A party called Fennan. Mrs. Elsa Fennan.
Name doesn't ring a bell. Where does she sit?
Ah, well, that's what I want to find out.
Fennan. Here we are. Merrydale Lane, Wollaston.
That's her.
Merrydale Lane, I ask you. Talk about theatre in the sticks. Oh. Well, she sits in R2, apparently. Odd choice.
Why?
Well, that'd be rear stalls, and the end of the row into the bargain.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, there are plenty of better seats, especially on the first Tuesday of the run.
Is that when she came? Tuesdays?
Yes, first and third Tuesday each month. Except January and February for some reason.
Oh, I seem to have heard that before.
What?
Nothing, no. But is there any way of checking whether she came last Tuesday?
Well, she should have done. We can soon find out. Gavin! Gavin!
Yes, love?
Have you seen the Virgin?
Messing about in the box office, I think.
Give her a yell, will you?
Righto. Elizabeth!
Elizabeth, the local town clerk's daughter. Absolutely goofy about going on the stage. God help us. So we let her ASM for us. You never know. Could smooth the path to a council grant.
Oh, yes. What's ASM mean, exactly?
Assistant stage manager. General dog's body, in other words. And she does the box office most evenings.
Oh, is that why you call her the Verger?
Virgin, dear.
Oh.
Oh, she's such a confounded amateur at everything. Oh, Elizabeth, my dear.
Gavin said you wanted me.
Yes, do come in. Elizabeth, darling, we were wondering if you knew a club member called Fennan. Mrs. Fennan sits in R2.
Gosh, yes. She's all thin and foreign.
That's her.
And madly musical, isn't she?
Oh, such extraordinary powers of observation.
Well, how do you know that she's musical?
Well, she's always got her music case with her.
Did she have it with her last Tuesday?
Oh, gosh, yes. That's why I remember her. She got in a frightful huff about the seat next to her.
Did she now?
It was a club reservation, you see, and I'd let it go. It was absolutely ours after the deadline.
Oh, quite right, too. You're learning so fast, dear.
Yes, but Mrs. Fennan got herself into an absolute tiz about it. She kept on saying that the other person was sure to turn up, because he always did.
And did he?
No. But she must have been absolutely livid because she walked out after the first act and left her music case in the cloakroom.
This, person, was he friendly with Mrs. Fennan?
What do you mean, friendly?
Oh, friendly, dear. Like Mummy and Daddy are friendly. Or not, as the case may be.
Oh, gosh, he was her husband, wasn't he?
According to the subscription list, his name was Gunter.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, they always sat together. And what about their music cases?
What about them?
Well, they were the same.
Maybe they played the same sort of music.
Elizabeth, are you saying that this Mr. Gunter didn't come at all last Tuesday?
Yes. He popped in on Wednesday morning, though.
What on earth for?
To collect Mrs. Fennan's music case from the cloakroom.
Did he have the ticket?
Yes, of course.
Could you describe this Mr. Gunter?
Oh, gosh, yes. He sounded a bit foreign, but he was very dishy. Tall and fair and...
With dishy blue eyes?
Yes. Gosh, how did you guess?
I can't imagine.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Pleasure.
Well, Mr. Whatever your name is, I hope you got your money's worth.
Hello, George. How's it going?
Well, not too badly, I suppose, Peter. If only I could shake off this infernal headache.
Still, if Mohammed can't come to the mountain, eh?
Do you get the photos?
Hundreds of them. The German section was extremely cooperative, and more than a little interested.
Any particular reason?
Well, apparently we don't know as much as we'd like to about the East Germans. It's only since the Americans intercepted one of their couriers that we know anything at all about the way they operate.
The usual conjuring tricks, presumably?
Yeah, nothing new, really, except they tend to muck about with names.
Hmm? What do you mean?
Well, the contact men never invent cover names for themselves, apparently.
But surely they've got to.
No. They let the agent do it for them.
Hmm. That's the technique Blondie used with Scar.
But Scar wasn't an agent.
No.
You know, Blondie's connection with the East German steel mission is just a little bit tenuous for my money.
What makes you say that?
Well, the GDR don't usually operate under trade cover. At least they haven't in the past.
Are you saying that the steel mission is in the clear?
And as far as the department's concerned, they're as pure as driven snow. Doing quite a decent job, apparently, from an office up in Hampstead somewhere.
What sort of operation do they run?
Tiny. 3 men and a dog. Their photos are in the file there.
Oh, thanks.
None of them mean anything to me, I'm afraid.
Oh, no.
What is it, George?
This man.
Let me see.
Is he one of them?
Yes. That's the head of the Steel Mission. Professor Dr. someone or other.
Do you know anything about him?
Like what, for instance?
Do you happen to know if he walks with a limp? A pronounced limp?
Yes. Yes, I think you're right. I remember reading something about infantile paralysis for one of them. It'll be written on the back of his photo if it's him. Is it?
Yes.
You know him, then?
Only too well. His real name is Fry. Dieter Fry.
Where did you run across him, then?
He was one of our agents on the Berlin section. I was his controller for 5 years. Little more, in fact. And one day he just disappeared off the face of the earth. We assumed he was dead.
You mean he was a double?
I doubt it somehow. There'd have been no point in his disappearing if he was.
So it looks as though he defected.
Obviously. But Dieter certainly wouldn't show himself in this country unless he was onto something pretty big.
Would a resident agent qualify? If he was in play?
He might, if he was highly placed.
Samuel Fennan?
It could well be.
What about the rest of the photos? Any joy there?
No, I don't think I know any of them.
There is one missing.
Huh?
A diplomat, name of Munt. Gerhard Munt. Mendel reckoned it was Blondie. He's taken the photo to check it out with Scar, our scrap dealer chappie over in Battersea.
Excuse me, please. Could you send me past, love? Chart.
Stand back. Stand back there, please.
What's happening here?
Now, come along, sir. You too.
Name's Mendel. Here's my identification.
Special branch? You're not interested in this, sir?
I won't know that until someone tells me what happened.
Nothing much, sir. Drunk, walked off the edge of the wharf. Trouble was, it's a 30-foot drop when the tide's out.
And it was, of course.
Poor sod broke his neck.
Who was he?
Don't know yet. They're just bringing him in now, sir. Just a minute, Charlie. Can we have a look at his face?
Sure. You know, not the prettiest boat I ever laid eyes on.
You know him, sir?
Yeah. Name's Scar. Adam Scar.
Are you interested?
No. Not anymore.
That was part 3 of Call for the Dead, the novel by John le Carré, adapted for radio by René Basilico. It starred George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel, with Douglas Blackwell as Peter Gillam. Adam Scar was played by George Innes, Ludo Oriel by Shirley Dixon, Elizabeth by Jane Knowles, and the Doctor by Paul Meyer. Other parts were played by members of the cast. Produced by John Fawcett Wilson.
This video was uploaded to the channel, Thinking Out Loud. Please like, comment and subscribe to the Thinking Out Loud channel. Thank you.
We present John le Carré's Call for the Dead, adapted for radio in 5 parts by René Basilico, starring George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel. Call for the Dead, Episode 4.
You awake, Mr. Smiley?
More or less, nurse. Why?
You've got a visitor.
Oh, have I, nurse? I seem to be getting very popular all of a sudden.
It's your magnetic personality. I'll get this water jug refilled for you.
Oh, that is kind of you.
May I?
Oh, come in, Mendel.
I'll leave you to it.
Well, what brings you?
Trouble, Mr. S.
What sort of trouble?
Our scrap dealer friend.
Adam Scarr?
Yep. He's dead. Broke his neck. Fell off the end of the wharf.
Fell?
When the tide was out, and if you believe that, you believe anything.
In other words, he was pushed.
And no prizes for guessing who did the pushing?
No.
If you ask me, Blondie's got a nice little death list, all neatly typed out. Fennan, you, Scarr. Who else, I wonder?
My God, Mendel, you have got a nose for it, haven't you?
Hey, what are you up to? Have I said something?
Have you not? Pass my trousers, will you?
Oh, sure. What's the hurry?
The next name on Blondie's list, Mendel. It can only be Elsa Fennan. They're aborting the whole operation, don't you see? Blondie, Munt, or whatever his name is obliterating the traces, literally.
Yeah, you could be right at that.
Here's a fresh jug of water. What are you doing, Mr. Smiley?
Discharging myself, nurse.
But you can't. You're not well enough yet.
I hope you're wrong.
What will I tell the doctor?
Just a minute, nurse.
Yes?
A word in your ear.
What?
Tell him I think our nurses are wonderful.
Oh.
No, honest. Oh. Had a good cat?
Oh, sorry, I must have dozed off.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
What?
Cat nap.
Ooh. Where are we?
We've just come off the Kingston bypass, not far now. Are you compass mentis?
Well, more or less. Why?
Well, if you grope around in the glove locker, you'll find the boffin's report comparing Fennan's suicide note with that other letter.
You mean the accusation?
Yeah.
Oh, is this it?
That's the one. Meant to give it to you earlier.
Have you read it?
Yes. Apparently the two notes were typed on the same machine, but by different people.
They can be that sure?
Well, the typeface is obviously the same, but the spacing and pressure were quite different. Same machine, though, no doubt.
Fennan's machine?
Probably. Portable, at any rate. We can check it out if we have to.
Mendel, tell me, what will they do with Fennan's personal possessions? You know, his wallet, notebook, that sort of thing.
Oh, they'll be whatever the body is, I should think.
Could you get hold of them somehow?
Yeah, I should think so. For any particular reason?
Well, you never know. We might find something that connects.
What, with Munt?
With anybody.
You know, if I were Munt, I wouldn't be worried one little bit about Elsa Fennan.
Oh? Why not?
Oh, I'd be much more concerned about saving my own skin.
You think he'll get out?
Well, he's pushing his luck if he doesn't.
Yes.
And the longer he leaves it, the harder it's going to be, if I've got anything to do with it. Look, I'd like to put out an alert for this joke, at least at the ports and the airports.
Well, do, by all means, if it makes you feel better.
It does.
And while you're about it, see if you can arrange some sort of protection for Elsa Fennan, will you?
If it makes you feel any better.
It does.
There's Merrydale Lane. I'll drop you at the corner, shall I?
Fine. What will you do?
There's a phone box just down the road. I'll see if I can whistle up a few bods to stand watch over Mrs. Fennan for you.
Thanks.
Are you sure that you don't want me to come in with you?
No. I think it might be better if I was alone with her.
Well, I wondered if you felt, you know...
No, I'm all right, really.
Okay. I'll be waiting here for you then.
Thanks.
You should have let me know you were coming, Mr. Smiley.
I thought it safer not to.
Safer?
We may not have much time, Mrs. Fennan. Do you understand what I mean?
No.
May I sit down?
If you wish.
Thank you.
You said we may not have much time, Mr. Smiley.
Yes. After I left you the other morning, a man tried to kill me. That night he tried again. I've only just come out of the hospital. The same man, the one who tried to kill me, had hired a car from a dealer. The dealer has since met with an unfortunate accident. A fatal accident.
What has this to do with me?
It would seem that someone is very anxious to cover his tracks, to eliminate anyone who might connect him with Samuel Fennan. Or with you, Mrs. Fennan.
Me? Why me?
But you know why.
No,
You are the most important connection of all. You're the supply line.
No.
It's not a game, you know, Mrs. Fennan. You can't play games with power like theirs. The real world, their world, just isn't like that.
I do not care about the real world, Mr. Smiley. Samuel was my world. He was all I had, all I ever dreamed of. Look at me. What dreams are left to me? I wanted long golden hair, and they shaved my head. I wanted a beautiful body, and they starved me.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, a long time ago. There are no dreams for me anymore, Mr. Smiley.
Yes, I know.
But Samuel had one dream. He dreamed of a great new world, a perfect world. He was like a little boy, Mr. Smiley, a child, and they led him like a child.
Who led him, Mrs. Fennan?
Samuel called him Freitag.
Who is that? Munt?
I suppose so.
And Dieter Fry? What did your husband call him?
You know Dieter.
We used to be friends. Where did you meet him?
At Garmisch, 5 years ago. Dieter must have planned it that way. He couldn't ski because of his leg, but Samuel was good at skiing. We went every year.
Every January?
Yeah, January for 3 or 4 weeks. It was like paradise for him. Another world.
A dream world.
Yeah. It all seems so unreal now.
Dieter was real enough.
Yeah.
So was Munt.
I don't understand. Why should he try to kill you?
Didn't you tell him that I came back and asked about that 8:30 alarm call?
Oh, God.
You rang him, didn't you? As soon as I'd gone.
Yes. Yes, I was frightened. I told him to go away, go right away, to leave us alone.
So you rang him up?
Yes.
What was the number?
Why do you want to know?
You and I are still alive.
Yes?
There's no reason for us or anyone else to die, is there? Not anymore.
The number was 722-0042.
And the address?
I don't know the address. Only the telephone number.
Munt didn't meet you the night your husband died, did he? He didn't come to the theatre?
No.
Was that the first time he missed?
Yes.
So you panicked and left early?
No. Yes, I suppose I panicked.
No, you didn't. You left early because you had to. That was the arrangement, wasn't it?
Why
did you have to leave early? Why, Mrs. Fennan?
I don't know.
You still don't understand, do you? Munt is trying to kill me. He'll kill you if he gets the chance. Why are you trying to protect him? What's the point in protecting him?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know why you left early. You had to catch the last post from the main post office, didn't you? He hadn't turned up at the theatre. You hadn't been able to exchange music cases. So you had to fall back on the emergency routine and post your cloakroom ticket onto him. That was the arrangement, wasn't it?
Yes.
So you must have an address. And I must know what it is, Mrs. Fennan, for both our sakes.
I posted the ticket to number 3 Maddox Mansions.
Where is that?
Hampstead somewhere.
Thank you.
It's strange, you know. Samuel had made up his mind a long time ago what he was going to do.
And you helped him?
I had to. He was all I had. I suppose I was protecting myself in a way. Gradually I became part of it.
And then it was too late to stop.
Yes. Ironic, isn't it? Just when Samuel could have done so much for them.
They must have thought he'd betrayed them.
Yes. Dieter saw you two together in the park.
Ah.
He ordered Munt to kill Samuel.
Then who was it denounced him in the first place?
I don't know. I really don't know.
And the suicide note? Who wrote that, I wonder?
I did. On Samuel's typewriter. Freitag, Munt brought the paper. Samuel's signature was already on it. But I wrote it. I wrote my own husband's suicide note.
Okay.
Yes, I suppose so. I'd like a 24-hour guard on that woman.
You've already got one. Those blokes digging up the drains. They'll take a month if they have to.
How on earth did you contrive that?
All part of the service. How did it go?
I can't say I'm particularly proud of myself.
Blimey, you're not still pretending to be an idealist.
I'm still pretending to have ideals.
Well, you won't find them in our training manual.
No, I don't suppose you will.
So, how did it go?
Here.
What is it?
I think it's Munt's address. His unofficial one.
Hampstead, eh? Oh, that sounds about right for a diplomatic bolt hole.
Yes. Can you check it out, do you think?
No sweat. I think I'll go in with the heavy brigade, though.
Yes. I should if I were you.
Oh, where to now?
Well, could you drop me at the office?
Sure.
Only I think it's time I had a word with Marston. Good morning, Josie. I believe the controller's expecting me.
My God, George, you all right? You look terrible.
Thank you.
Have you told Anne yet?
Did I look terrible? I think she's known for ages.
Idiot. I mean, have you told her? Well, about being beaten up and everything.
Not yet.
Shouldn't you tell her?
Not much point, really. Anyway, she's still away.
In Bermuda?
Yes.
Lucky thing. I bet she won't want to come back in a hurry.
No, I don't suppose she will. Not unless something blows up.
Is anything likely to?
Oh, you never can tell. Especially in Bermuda.
No. They have hurricanes out there, don't they?
They have them all over the place, but that's not quite what I meant, Josie.
Oh.
May I go in?
Yes. Mind what you say, though. He's in a foul mood this morning.
Isn't he always?
George, do come in.
Thank you.
Glad to see you up and about again. How are you feeling?
Oh, a little fragile, perhaps.
I'm not surprised. That really was a most frightful business.
Yes.
And it was definitely our friends from the Steel Mission.
No question. A fellow named Munt, diplomatic dog's body. Identified as Blondie by Adam Scarr, the late Adam Scarr, and corroborated by Inspector Mendel of Special Branch.
Yes, George, I've read your report and Gillam's. I've read them both very carefully indeed.
It all fits, surely.
It fits what we know, George. But then we know so little about GDR procedures, don't we?
Well, we know enough.
And what we do know would suggest that to use a trade delegation as a staging post is, to say the least, rather unusual.
But not inconceivable.
No, not inconceivable, I admit. But that would suggest a resident agent of some caliber, someone like a McLean or a Fuchs.
Or a Fennan.
Oh, come on, George. Fennan was small fry by comparison.
But growing bigger by the minute.
Then why kill him? Tell me that, George.
I believe they thought he was a double agent. Fry saw him talking to me in the park.
Did he?
Yes.
Doesn't that strike you as a rather improbable coincidence?
Not particularly. Fry knows me pretty well. He worked for me on the Berlin station, remember?
And 10 years later, he just happened to be standing in St. James's Park at the precise moment when you should decide to interview Fennan, eh?
Yes.
Oh, my dear George, I would have thought that was stretching coincidence to the point of pure fantasy.
Fennan might well have been under surveillance.
Is that likely?
It's certainly possible.
Yes, but is it likely, George?
Am I to understand that you find my report unacceptable?
Good gracious, no, George. I accept it without reservation. I have too much respect for your integrity to do anything else. But to the mandarins at the Foreign Office, it could prove,
unpalatable?
Exactly. I knew you'd understand. Anyway, there's been enough speculation. Time to accept the facts as they present themselves. Fennan is dead. And surely that's an end to it.
You know, sleeping dogs have a nasty habit of waking, usually at the most inopportune moments.
Oh, quite so, George, but the present situation is quite delicate. And it might be in the best interest of the department and of yourself not to rush this report out too quickly.
I understand.
You can rely on my judgment. Believe me, George.
What are you going to do about the Steel Mission?
Ah, yes. The Steel Mission. Well, if, as you suggest in your report, its sole purpose was to service Fennan, it will now presumably wither and die.
And if it doesn't?
If it doesn't, it won't do any harm to keep it under permanent surveillance. Don't you agree?
Perhaps. Well, that just leaves Elsa Fennan.
Yes. I really don't know what to do about her. I shall have to think about that one.
You will indeed.
I gather from your report, George, that you think this fellow Munt may still try to kill her.
It seems likely.
Yes. Yes, it does. You know, it mightn't be a bad thing if he succeeded. It would certainly solve a lot of problems from our point of view.
He said what?
That it might solve a lot of problems if Munt were to kill Elsa Fennan. Seriously, Peter.
Well, I knew Marston was a cold-blooded so-and-so, but that takes the biscuit.
You know, in a funny sort of way, he could well be right.
If he is, it'll be for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, isn't it always? Poor woman must be in a terrible predicament. Her husband's dead. She'll almost certainly be charged under the Official Secrets Act. And
she's got nowhere to run to.
I doubt whether she's even considered running.
Do you think anyone's offered her the chance?
Well, it's just possible. Dieter Fry was always a bit of a romantic.
He's flown, by the way.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised.
Left the country the day after Fennan was murdered. Didn't even stop to cancel his milk.
Is he being replaced? At the steel mission, I mean.
I don't know. They've released an official statement to the effect that he's been recalled.
And an announcement about his successor will be made soon, no doubt.
Something to that effect. What about Munt's bolt hole?
Well, Mendel's looking after that. At this very minute, I shouldn't be surprised.
His name's Headley, sir. Been the hall porter here for donkey's years, apparently.
Oh, let's hope he's not too decrepit, then.
Ah, Mr. Headley?
Yes? Police. I'm Inspector
Nothing
Mendel.
wrong, is there?
No, nothing wrong, sport. We're just nosy about the party in number 3.
Number 3? You mean the German bloke, Gunther?
Gunther, yeah, that'll be him. What do you know about him?
Not much. He's a pilot for the German airline, Luftwaffe or whatever they call it. He's only here 1 day a week.
But when's that, do you know?
Let's see, yes, Tuesdays, that's the day.
Only Tuesdays?
Yes, a stopover, I think they call it. Comes in on Tuesday afternoon, out again, crack of dawn Wednesday.
Neat, very neat.
You mean he rents the apartment just for that one night a week?
Well, his mate uses it for the rest of the time, doesn't he?
His mate?
Yes, big blonde fella.
With big blue eyes?
Yes, that's right.
You wouldn't recognise him from this photo, I don't suppose?
Half a mo', I'd better put my specs on. Let's see now.
Is that him?
Yes. Oh, yes, quite definitely. That's him, all right.
Is he in now?
No, it's funny you should ask that, because I haven't seen him for some days now. Not since Thursday, in fact. And then he was in and out like a sailor in a brothel.
You sure it was Thursday?
Oh, positive. His rent was due Friday, wasn't it? First Friday of the month.
You mean Blondie paid the rent?
Well, the other one was never here, was he?
So Blondie missed out last Friday.
Wasn't like him. Wasn't like him a bit. He was usually as regular as clockwork.
Yes, I bet. Just wind him up.
There's no more than I expected. Did you go over the room?
With a fine-tooth comb, nothing left but the furniture. They've scarpered, I'm afraid, no two ways about it.
Yes, it does rather look like it, doesn't it?
What about this pilot bloke, Gunther?
A courier, almost certainly.
You know, Blondie used the name Gunther for his membership of the theatre club, remember?
Yes, you told me. It's not significant.
Well, what is?
Well, it's beginning to look as though Munt has flown without even attempting to kill Elsa Fennan.
Oh, maybe they've left her to the wolves. After all, she can't be very important to him.
My God, Mendel, you're beginning to think like Marston.
Oh, no offence intended, sir. It's all right, I'll get it. 1408. Yeah. Yes, he's right here having a cuppa. This for you.
Oh, right.
Peter Killam.
Thanks. Hello, Peter.
George, I think I've got something for you. It could be important.
Where are you?
At the Foreign Office. I'm with Felix Taverner in the Documents Registry.
I'll be there in about half an hour.
Fine, I'll wait for you here.
I'm going into the Foreign Office.
Oh, I'll drive you in. I've got 1 or 2 calls to make myself.
All right. Let's go, shall we?
Hello, George. You know Felix Taverner, don't you?
Yes, of course. How are all your kids, Felix?
Oh, God increases their number, as ever.
How many is it now?
Round half dozen. I shall have to give it up soon, or it'll start interfering with my sex life.
Well, what have you turned up for us?
And I asked Felix to see if he could sort out which files had been marked out to Fennan's section.
I've restricted myself to the past 2 years for the moment.
Well, that should be enough.
Well, otherwise I'd be here forever. You see, where a file's been particularly requested by a section, they have to use a requisition form.
Go on.
There are a couple of dozen requisition forms signed out to Fennan on Friday evenings and signed in again on Monday mornings.
In other words, he was taking the stuff home over the weekend.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, that's not unusual, George.
No. But since he was promoted...
That's the odd thing, George. Fennan still took stuff home, but only unclassified material.
But he had access to the secret files. He could have taken anything he wanted.
I know. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No requisition for secret files?
No. Just very low-grade stuff that barely related to his normal work. He even took home some files that dealt with subjects totally outside the scope of his section.
But still unclassified?
Yeah.
Stuff that couldn't have been of any intelligence value to anyone.
How about earlier, before he moved into his new job? What kind of stuff went home then?
Files he'd used during the day, policy and so on. More or less what you'd expect.
Anything unusual?
Nothing unexpected, George. No particularly delicate stuff, if that's what you mean. Right, Felix?
Right. Your friend Fennan was a real joker, wasn't he?
Do you want me to drop you somewhere, George?
No, I'll come back to the office with you, if I may. Mendel's picking me up there.
Fine. You still staying at Mendel's place?
Yes. I think it's high time I moved back to my own home, though. Especially if Munt really has gone.
Oh, he's gone, all right. We checked it out as soon as Mendel told us.
Peter, have you considered why they wanted to kill Fennan so much? I mean, they had nothing to gain by killing him, even if he had betrayed them.
Unless they were frightened of a chain reaction.
Oh, if there's any sort of chain reaction at all, it's likely to be the one that led to Fennan's death.
How do you mean?
Well, Dieter Fry apparently saw me talking to Fennan, his agent, in St. James's Park and concluded that he was going to confess.
Or that he was a double and working for you.
Whatever. Anyway, Munt was ordered to kill Fennan, which he did instead of meeting Elsa Fennan at the theatre.
It must have been pretty grisly for her when she got home.
Yes, especially when they realized it was all a mistake. That Dieter had completely misinterpreted the motive behind Fennan's meeting with me.
It beats me how Elsa Fennan could bring herself to type out her own husband's suicide note.
Well, she had to protect her own complicity.
She was also protecting her husband's murderer.
Perhaps. Remember, he was standing over her at the time. Munt's the sort of man children have bad dreams about. Grown men, too, I shouldn't wonder.
And he had enough wit to bring some notepaper with him all ready and signed.
Now, that sounds more like Dieter. It'll be typical of him to take out some sort of insurance. A few sheets of notepaper with Fennan's signature on them. Probably forged.
In case he ever needed to compromise or blackmail him.
Oh, it's a vintage gambit.
George, have you considered the possibility that your pal Dieter might have done that in the first place?
What, you mean blackmailed Fennan into working for him?
Something like that. It might explain why Fennan was only taking home low-grade rubbish instead of all the high-level stuff he had access to.
Well, that raises all sorts of new possibilities.
Yes, doesn't it?
You know, Peter, if your blackmail theory holds water, it could suggest that Elsa Fennan herself wrote the letter denouncing her husband.
In the hope of getting him off the hook, I suppose. Which means Munt must have typed the suicide note on Fennan's machine. I must say I like that much better.
Yes, except that Elsa Fennan's already admitted typing the suicide note.
Maybe she was lying.
Well, why should she? With no point.
Well, someone wrote that annunciation, and it was hardly likely to be Munt or Dieter Fry.
Mr. Smiley, sir.
Well, hello, Henry.
There's a gentleman to see you, Mr. Smiley, sir. Says his name's, Mendel. That's it.
Ah, yes.
Where is he, Henry?
Well, I shoved him in the anteroom, sir. Told him to wait.
Come on, Peter.
Right with you.
Thank you, Henry.
Pleasure, sir.
Well, Mendel, I hope you haven't been waiting long.
10 minutes, no more.
Oh, that's all right, then.
Mind you, we got better waiting rooms than Missing and Nick.
I can imagine.
What have you got there?
Pocket diary. One of the deceased's effects. I just claimed them from the coroner's office before any undesirables got their grubby paws on them.
Oh, well done.
Makes interesting reading, too. Even mentions that phone call that's been getting up your nostrils so much.
Does it?
Listen to this. Tuesday the 3rd, arrange alarm call, 0830. Wednesday the 4th, 1300, Smiley CA. Whatever that means.
A complete angler, I should think. Well, it's a rather exotic pub at Marlow. It doesn't say why, does it?
Sorry.
You know that Fennan had arranged to take that day off?
The Wednesday?
According to his secretary.
That's funny. His wife didn't mention it.
Perhaps he didn't tell her.
No. No, he couldn't have done. She'd have tried to explain it otherwise.
I've got something even better for you.
Oh, what's that?
Dieter Fry, says here.
What?
What?
7228880.
That's the East German steel mission.
Do you mean to say he's actually written that down?
That's right. As a latter-day Philby, I'd say the late Samuel Fennan was a bit of a Burke, wouldn't you?
You could say that again.
No, quite the contrary.
What?
I'd say he was a very sensitive and perceptive man. It's obvious when you think about it.
What is?
That letter denouncing Samuel Fennan.
How do you mean?
Well, it can only have been written by Samuel Fennan himself.
That was part 4 of Call for the Dead, the novel by John le Carré, adapted for radio by René Basilico. It starred George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel, with Douglas Blackwell as Peter Gillam and Richard Handel as Marston. Elsa Fennan was played by Hilda Kreisman, Josie by Jane Williams, Headley by James Thomason, and Felix Taverner by Malcolm Gerard. Other parts were played by members of the cast. Produced by John Fawcett Wilson. We present John le Carré's Call for the Dead, adapted for radio in 5 parts by René Basilico, starring George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel. Call for the Dead, Episode 5.
Well, Mr. S., home sweet home.
Come in and have a dram.
Thanks. Uh-oh. You forgot to cancel the papers.
Other things on my mind.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, they can stay there.
Yeah, yesterday's news.
If you could just pick up the post for me and bring it through.
Sure. Last time you were here, remember?
Good job you were around. Munt might have killed me.
You must have been born lucky.
Now, what'll it be? Scotch?
Lovely.
Water?
50-50. Someone sent you a postcard.
Really?
Yeah, from the Bahamas. Looks quite exotic.
Oh.
Well, don't you want to read it, then?
Oh, I suppose I'd better. Thanks. Put all that stuff up on the mantelpiece, would you? Behind the Dresden group.
Behind the what?
The Dresden group. The little group of figurines there.
Oh, very nice. Dresden china?
Oh, yes.
Anything wrong?
This postcard. It's from Anne, my wife.
I'll gather.
She's made me an offer no gentleman could accept.
What's that?
She wants to come back.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Elsa Fennan was born in Dresden, wasn't she?
According to the files. And so was Dieter Fry. That group of Dresden figurines was a present from him. Just before he disappeared. Defected.
Sort of leaving present, eh?
Yes. Something to remember him by.
What's up?
I wonder.
Okay, so you wonder?
That business of Elsa Fennan. Exchanging music cases at the theatre. And then posting on the cloakroom ticket if the courier doesn't turn up.
Well, what about it?
It's the same tradecraft Dieter was using 10 years ago in Berlin.
So?
This card from Anne just reminded me. He used to send postcards as emergency communications.
Oh, you reckon he's still working the same routine? That might be worth a try.
It might indeed, Mendel. Let's go and buy a pretty postcard, shall we?
No, I'm afraid the evening papers aren't in yet, sir.
All right, I'll try later.
Sorry, sir.
The Times, please.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir, are you looking for anything in particular?
Oh, yes, thank you. Actually, I want a postcard of a church.
A church?
That's right.
Well, any particular church?
No, any common or garden church will do, as long as it's a church.
There's not much demand for churches, I'm afraid, sir. All the postcards we carry are mainly for overseas visitors, you know, all the usual views like Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, all that sort of thing.
Well, Westminster Abbey is a church, surely.
I suppose it is, come to think of it. I've always thought of it as some sort of national monument myself.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we've got hundreds of views of Westminster Abbey. Yeah, take your pick.
Oh, any one will do. The first one that comes.
Well, this one?
That'll do nicely. How much?
8 pence, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to keep you, Mr. Wilkinson. The usual, is it?
Okay.
Fine.
So, now what do we do?
Well, first I have to address this postcard to Mrs. Fennan.
And then?
Then we're going to drive up to Hampstead and post it.
Start outside the East German Steel Mission and look for the nearest postbox.
That's right.
I like it. Shall we go?
No, just let me finish this. There.
Just an address, no message?
The postcard itself is the message. At least the picture on the postcard is.
What is the picture?
That.
Westminster Abbey.
A church or a religious subject is an urgent request for an early meeting.
Very neat. Let's hope he hasn't changed the system.
Well, we'll soon find out, won't we?
What's Elsa Fennan supposed to do when she gets it?
Reply, presumably.
In that case, I better be there when the postman calls.
Yes. But let's bring Peter Gillam in on this. We'll ask him to supply the backup, and he'd want to be involved anyway. Smiley.
Peter Gillam here, George. She's biting.
What happened?
The post arrived about 8:30. At 9:30, she left the house, had full belt, apparently. Old Mendel could hardly keep up with her.
Where is she now?
On the train up to town, the 9:52. Mendel's just phoned. He should be on it, too. But I'll be meeting at Waterloo anyway, just in case.
Good. Keep in touch, Peter.
Will do.
The 10:32 for Guildford will leave from platform 7. Calling at Wimbledon, Surbiton, Finchley Wood.
Tickets, please. Thank you. Tickets.
Right on time, Mendel.
This is just ahead. Going like the Harry Cleppers.
Yes, I saw her.
Oh, come on, then. We don't want to lose her.
Your description was spot on.
I think Smiley's postcard really shaken her up.
It was meant to. The wily bird is our friend, George.
Yeah, you don't miss much.
My God, she does walk fast.
Looks like she's heading for the taxi rank. Come on.
Yeah, she's just got into that cab. Where to, I wonder?
Oh, don't hang about. Cab!
Don't bother, I'll lay it on transport.
Yes, chauffeur driven.
Well, get in. Driver, the cab in front. Don't close it.
No, sir.
Wonder what she's making for. A contact, you think?
Dunno. Well, anyway, we'll see.
What is it, Mendel?
It's all this, the way you work. A different world, isn't it?
Oh, we do try to do things with a certain panache.
First time I've had to tail anyone in comfort like this. This car come with the job, does it?
Not my job, Marston's.
Does he know?
I never thought to ask.
The taxi's stopping, sir.
Right outside the theatre.
Running true to form, isn't she? Pull in here, please.
Very good, sir.
Right. You drop off here and try to get in behind her.
Where will you be?
Waiting for her when she comes out.
See you back at the buildings, then.
Check.
That's 3 for Friday the 19th, sir.
Thank you. It is a clear view from there.
Oh,
yes, sir. Very good sightlines in this theatre.
Fine.
7:50, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you.
Yes, madam.
I'd like 2 stalls for Wednesday next.
Wednesday the 17th?
That's right.
The evening performance?
Yes, please. Somewhere near the back, if you can.
Yes. How about row M?
Yes, that will do.
10 and 11, they're quite near the centre.
No, I would prefer the end of the row.
Oh, M1 and 2 then?
Yes, that's all right.
M1 and 2 for Wednesday the 17th at 8 o'clock. Thank you, madam. Yes?
Have you got anything for next Saturday?
You're quite sure?
Certain. I was right behind her in the queue, practically in her pocket. She put one ticket in her bag and the other into an envelope. Already addressed by the look of it.
Ah.
Seems like you were right.
What's this, George?
A routine, something I remembered, Peter. You didn't see the address, I suppose?
No, but Europe somewhere, if the stamp's anything to go by.
She was in a heck of a hurry to get it in the post.
I can imagine. Where did she go then?
I followed her back to Waterloo. I should think she went straight home.
It's exactly as I thought.
By the way, I bought a couple of tickets for the same show, R1 and 2, so whoever turns up, I'll be right behind him.
No, you won't. It'll probably be Munt.
Ah, yeah, he'd recognise me, damn it.
It'd better be me, then.
Would you mind, Peter?
Not at all.
Who will you take?
Oh, I'm sure I can think of some deserving lady.
I can think of someone better.
Oh?
We got a trained female bloodhound, a special branch special.
He's right, Peter. Sorry.
But don't worry. She's quite fanciable.
She'd better be.
Well, that's agreed, then.
Yes. What about Marston? Shouldn't we let him know what we're up to?
Yes, I suppose so. Though God knows what good it'll do. Oh, well, I better go and get it over with.
What the dickens do you think you're playing at, Smiley? I thought I made it clear that this case was officially closed.
With respect, you surely wouldn't want people to think your department can only catch a spy when it trips over his body.
No, of course not.
Especially when the body proves not to have been a spy at all.
What? What do you mean, Smiley?
Simply that Samuel Fennan was no spy.
You've changed your tune. I've got your last report here in triplicate. I seem to recall that it states quite categorically that Fennan was precisely that, a spy.
It states that Elsa Fennan admitted that her husband was a spy.
I had the distinct impression that you believed her.
At the time, yes. Her account of what happened the night of her husband's murder rang true enough.
Exactly. If she'd known of this fellow Munt's intention to murder Fennan, well, she'd hardly have taken the music case to the theatre.
No.
And she certainly wouldn't have posted the cloakroom ticket onto him when he didn't turn up.
Agreed. But doesn't it strike you that she was far too proficient to be the unwilling accomplice she pretended to be?
In what way?
In the details of her tradecraft, she was far too professional.
Oh, that's mere assumption, George.
That's why I sent her the postcard, to see if she'd respond.
Oh, and I suppose you expect to catch her in flagrante delicto.
I'm more interested in catching the man who murdered Samuel Fennan. I think the mandarins of the Foreign Office would find that a more acceptable offering, don't you think?
Yes. You may be right. In fact, I'm sure you're right. Well, the play's the thing then, George. What is the play, by the way?
12th Night. Or What You Will.
Oh, it got quite good write-ups, didn't it?
Yes, I think it did.
Oh, that's not too bad. I think you might quite enjoy that.
Centre gangway on the right, sir.
Thank you. Oh, good evening.
Your tickets, sir? R1 and 2. Just here on the right, sir. 4th row down.
Thank you. And a programme, please.
15 pence.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, Jill.
Good evening, sir. 6th row from the front, sir.
Here we are. R1 and 2.
Where's Elsa Fennan sitting?
There. 5 rows down.
Oh, yes.
Would you care for a box of chocolates or something?
I'm trying to give them up. Mind you, I wouldn't say no to a gin and tonic if it was offered.
I don't know. The curtain's due up any minute now.
Pity. Still no sign of her boyfriend?
No. Good God.
What is it?
Marston.
Who?
Marston, my insufferable lord and master. What the hell's he doing here?
Come to collect the kudos, I should think.
You're not just a pretty face, are you? Still, I wonder what old George will make of it.
Where is Mr. Smiley?
Watching from the circle somewhere, with your pal Mendel.
Oh. Can I have a look at the programme, please?
There, Mendel, you see. Second row stalls, gangway.
That's Master.
That's him.
Oh, he's got a bloody nerve.
It's fairly typical, I'm afraid. He won't be mentioned in the report, but because he's here, everyone will automatically assume that it was his initiative.
Shit. How to win friends and influence people.
Something like that.
Curtain's late, going up.
There's still no sign of Munt.
Hey,
hold on.
What?
On the far side there. Limping up the aisle.
Who is it?
It's Dieter Fry.
Is that him?
He must have been sitting in the front stalls all along.
What, the crafty?
Oh, yes, he's all of that. The reason he stayed alive so long.
Elsa?
You're late. I thought you would not come.
No, I've been here some little time. I cannot be too careful in these matters. So is everything all right?
Yes, I think so. It's difficult to tell with Smiley.
Yes. Does he still worry you?
No, not now. I think perhaps he believes my story now.
So then why did you send for me?
Send for you? You asked for a meeting.
I know.
But you sent a postcard.
No, Elsa, I sent no postcard.
Then who? Dieter, who sent that card?
Quiet, Elsa.
But who?
Mendel, I think he's twigged. He keeps looking round.
Yeah, looking for a quick exit.
There's one not 5 yards away from him.
Yes.
Hey, where are you going? Mendel!
If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die.
Mendel, what on earth are you up to?
Now, it's a disaster.
What is?
That exit door. He'll wait till the interval when there's a great crowd milling round and he'll be off. He'll lose Mr. Gillam easy as wink.
What are you going to do?
Wait for him outside. Tuck in behind him just when he thinks he's shaken everyone off.
Here, let's fill you up with scotch before you go. Keep the night out.
No, not just now, thanks. I'd better be outside. I want to be on the spot when he comes out.
Aye, that's the theme. To her in haste. Give her this jewel. Say my love can give no place. Buy no denay.
Well, did you enjoy it?
In between keeping my eye on those two.
Yes, I know what you mean. Looks as though they're going to sit through the interval, doesn't it?
Oh, bang goes my gin and tonic.
Oh, sorry about that. Perhaps a
Look.
bit late.
Look, he's getting up.
Yes.
She's staying put.
Damn. Jill, he's making for that exit. Look, you stay here, love. Watch Mrs. Fennan.
Right.
I'll get after the man. He can't move fast with that leg. What the hell?
It's Mrs. Fennan. She's collapsed.
Come on. Excuse me, please. All right, Jill?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. She's dead.
You go and see her. I don't want to lose that man.
Okay.
Excuse me. Let me through, please. Excuse me. I must get past. It was hopeless. By the time I got through that lot of gaping morons, I'd lost him. I'm sorry, George.
Don't take it to heart, Peter. Mendel will have picked him up.
Mendel? I thought he was with you.
He decided to wait outside, just in case. He thought you might have problems if Fry decided to use that particular exit.
Real old pro, isn't he? Seen it all before.
Nice chap, too. I've grown quite fond of him. I hope he doesn't underestimate Dieter.
It was Fry killed Elsa Fennan?
Yes.
Oh, have you heard?
Quote, a single degree of pressure on the larynx. Unquote.
Was that in Fry's old tradecraft manual?
No. It's something that's been written in since.
Ah, Smiley, there you are. What on earth is this place?
Front of house manager's office. Bit pokey, I'm afraid.
At least it's got a telephone. Beggars can't be choosers.
No. Well, Smiley, it seems your case arrived at its denouement with a somewhat melodramatic flourish.
Elsa Fennan's dead, if that's what you mean.
And with her, presumably, all hope of proving that she was the spy.
Oh, I wouldn't be too sure of that, sir.
Really? Is that your view, George?
I don't think the truth is too difficult to establish now.
Then perhaps you'd be kind enough to establish it forthwith, in terms that I can both comprehend and pass on to the appropriate quarters.
With the appropriate soothing noises, of course.
Of course.
Very well. First, If Fennan were a spy, it's hardly conceivable that he would have kept the name and telephone number of his controller in his pocketbook.
It was there in his own handwriting, sir. Dieter Fry, 722-880. The official number of the East German steel mission, in case you're wondering.
I wasn't, Gillen.
I doubt whether Fry was anything more than a chance acquaintance.
Chance from Fennan's point of view, I presume?
Yes. Mrs. Fennan said that Fry had engineered it on one of their skiing trips. Garmisch, I think she said.
Go on.
Well, secondly, Samuel Fennan used to take files home at weekends.
Did he? I don't remember seeing that in your report.
No. I only found out later.
It was mostly unclassified material anyway. Low-grade stuff of no intelligence value to anyone.
Yet he had access to secret files, highly sensitive documentation. He would surely have availed himself of that, if he were really a spy.
Well, why didn't he?
I believe he'd begun to suspect his own wife. He had to maintain his normal work pattern without putting anything sensitive at risk.
One damned smart fellow, if you ask me.
Ah. Then who wrote the letter denouncing him as a party member?
I believe Fennan wrote it himself.
What?
Just to put himself in touch with us.
When he was sure his wife was a spy, he wanted to establish contact. We were bound to react to an accusation like that.
Oh, but it's all so vague. It's guesswork.
No. I'm sure that was the reason he invited me to lunch at the Complete Angler. To denounce his wife.
Good God.
It all fits. Even that alarm call was a deliberate ploy to put his wife off the scent.
So that was it?
I think so, Peter. It's the only explanation that makes sense.
Our friend Fennan was a somewhat devious soul, wasn't he?
And an exceedingly patriotic one.
That will probably sound like glad tidings to the Panjandrums of the Foreign Office.
Yes, it probably will. Just one thing, George.
What's that?
If Elsa Fennan was the spy, why should her own people kill her so late in the game?
Perhaps Dieter thought she'd led him into a trap.
She had.
All unwittingly.
Yes. So where is he now, this Dieter Fry?
A few yards ahead of Mendel. At least, I hope he is.
Well, a houseboat, is it, Mr. Fry? Uh-huh. Oh, I think we'll have to see about that.
But we can't rule it out, can we? This Fry fellow may be well away by now.
Well, it's possible. Dieter's a professional.
So is Mendel.
Yes.
And Gillen? Uh-huh. I got you. Right, about 10 minutes.
Mendel?
Yes, he's followed Fry to a houseboat on Cheney Walk.
Come on, Peter.
George.
Yes?
I want this man, Fry. I want him badly.
Don't we all?
Mr. Smiley.
Mendel.
Over here. Hello there, Mr. Gillen.
Is he still there?
Not as far as I can tell. Fog's coming up, though. It's getting a bit difficult to see.
Which way?
Follow me.
Which boat?
Second on the left, there, the one with the light showing.
You're both armed?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Very wise.
What about you?
It won't be necessary.
You're not serious, George. He'd kill you as soon as look at you.
I don't think so. We were friends once.
Well, let's hope he remembers.
Well, don't be such a confounded Jeremiah.
He's right, though.
Dieter never cared for firearms.
Well, he may not care for you, not anymore.
Perhaps. You could always cover me, I suppose, just in case.
You can try and stop us. You fit, Mr. G?
I'm ahead of you, Mendel. You take this side of the boat. I'll work my way round and cover from the far side.
Right. Off you go.
Give me a minute or two, George.
And no heroics, Peter. You too, Mendel.
I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. S.
So do I. Dieter? Dieter? Hello, Dieter.
George, I should have known they would send you.
No one sent me.
Same old George.
It's been a long time.
10 years, nearly. So much has changed.
Yes. We thought you were dead.
I wondered if you would be convinced by my sudden disappearance.
Oh, yes. I think I was convinced. Eventually. So was the whole Berlin section. You fooled us all, Dieter.
And now you fooled me.
After all those years, you should have changed your tradecraft.
Why? It was simple, effective.
It was predictable.
Only to someone who'd worked with me. I should have known.
Known what?
That it was you who sent the postcard to Elsa.
It wasn't her fault.
Possibly.
You shouldn't have killed her.
It happens.
What made you come back? You could have sent Munt.
Munt? Munt was blown.
So were you, Dieter.
What was that? You're not alone, are you, huh? No, of course not. You were always so careful.
I asked the others to wait.
I won't stand trial, George. I will not permit you to put me on display like a prize specimen.
No. I'm sorry.
So am I, George. I really am. I always had great respect for you.
No guns, Dieter. It's pointless.
There's no other way, George.
No, Dieter.
Goodbye, George.
Drop that gun, Fred! Drop it!
Dieter! Dieter? Dieter. Oh, no.
George, you all right?
I'm all right, Peter. Mendel?
Yeah, I'm okay. Honest. What about Fry?
See for yourself.
Oh, Struth.
Shouldn't we fish him out?
If you like.
It doesn't make much difference now. He's dead.
Poor Dieter.
I thought he was going to kill you.
It wasn't me he was going to kill.
Well, who else?
Come on. It's over.
You heard what the man said, Mendel?
Yeah. But I'm not sure I want to believe him.
Don't worry about it.
That was Part 5, the final episode of Call for the Dead, the novel by John le Carré, adapted for radio by René Basilico. It starred George Cole as Smiley and Alfred Burke as Mendel, with Douglas Blackwell as Peter Gillam and Richard Handel as Marston. Elsa Fennan was played by Hilda Kreisman, Dieter Fry by Stephen Greif, Jill by Francis Jeter, and the newsagent by Rod Beecham. Other parts were played by members of the cast. Produced by John Fawcett Wilson.